Well, I'm going to give you 5 reasons why the Jets should not fire Aaron Glenn, because I'm hearing a lot of people saying that he needs to be out of here, and you're already sick of him. You want him fired today, or you want him fired in the offseason. And in this video right here, I'm going to break down why you should not feel that way. Now, listen, I'm also a Jets fan that is obviously accepting and respecting everybody's opinion, right? Everybody is entitled to believe what they want to believe. They can formulate their own perspective of what's going on with the New York Jets. It's been 14, now 15 years of no playoffs. Jets fans are frustrated, and of course, they're going to blame it on the head coach, and he has not won a football game yet. And obviously, the frustration is loud, and he signed up for this job. Aaron Glenn is not, blind to the idea of he signed up for this job, understanding it's not going to be easy. He knew it was going to be a tough storm. And I told you guys before the season started, it's going to get ugly before it gets pretty. And I did not expect it to get this ugly. So I'm going to break down my 5 reasons. Make sure you guys hit the like button and subscribe here to Jets Media if you're new, and comment down below where you are. Maybe there are some reasons you want to keep them. Are you completely selling your stock? Because there's a lot of opinions out there around Jets fans, and I think it's only Jets fans are really talking about this, but hey, that's why we have to talk about it here as Jets fans. So reason number 1, the reason is, of course, I believe that this locker room and these players, they want to rally around Aaron Glenn. They still believe in him. Players are publicly backing Aaron Glenn, of course. There's no sign of a fractured locker room just yet, in my opinion. I honestly believe that. And I think that what we're going to see at the trade deadline is Aaron Glenn shipping off the players that are not, even if there are some players that are not bought in, you're going to see that happening. There's going to be a purge here. And all the players that are on this football team was majority inherited by Aaron Glenn. And obviously, he needs to be able to figure out ways to coach up these players to fit his system. But there's some guys like Malachi Corley, for example, did not fit him. He was not afraid to release him before the season started. He gave Xavier Gibson a chance. He made a mistake. He's like, you know what? Gibson's not part of our long-term plans. We're going to get rid of him. And there's going to be a lot more of those guys that's going to get removed from this team. So I honestly still believe this team believes. And obviously, the players publicly backing Aaron Glenn in the press conferences and stuff, that's not everything. I'm not blind to the Garrett Wilson getting into Aaron Glenn at halftime, questioning what the plan was. And when he was, asked about the plan and he was told about it, Garrett Wilson was like, I'm disappointed in that. So obviously Aaron Glenn is learning on the fly as a head coach. That he really, really is. But I do feel like, from the most part, I'm seeing the Jets are still all in. Now, another reason to believe in Aaron Glenn and just give him some time is this. Yeah, he's a defensive-minded head coach. This defense has been absolutely buns throughout this entire season, but you are seeing some signs of this defense breaking through. The game against the Denver Broncos was a fantastic game for the Jets defense. I thought that seeing Jermaine Johnson come back, do not trade him, Jarvis Brownlee Jr. in the slot, Malachi Moore at the safety position, there's a new energy on that defense. You finally saw the vision of Aaron Glenn and Steve Wilks come together, but now they have to stretch it against the Carolina Panthers coming up. They have to show consistency on defense. And listen, we're 6 games into the season, and that's why I'm sorry if I'm not going to I don't mind other fans. Everybody's entitled to believe how they want to feel, but I feel this way, and this is why I want to express it in this video with you guys, is simply because I do not want to just throw everything that we were excited about Aaron Glenn in the garbage because of 6 games. He needs to be held accountable for all the issues on this football team. But I'm somebody that's going to give him a chance to learn from his mistakes. I'm going to be someone that's going to give Aaron Glenn, who decided to come to the New York Jets because he was drafted here. He has ties to the organization. He wanted to be the one to turn around this Jets football team. That means something to me. So I'm a Jets fan that's going to root for him in his failures and allow him to learn from these mistakes he's making as a head coach, because there are alarming things. I'm not blind to that. It's not just the performance of the quarterback of Justin Fields, the offense as a whole, the defense throughout the season. All these things are a mess, but you also got to evaluate, how does Aaron Glenn operate during games as a head coach? At the end of first half, what's the operations? What are the decisions you make at the end of the game as well? So I think all of those things are definitely aligned here with Aaron Glenn's New York Jets, and you got to be critical with him. We got to hold him accountable, just like he's going to hold himself accountable. But I guess my approach to it is I want Aaron Glenn to be the guy so bad that I'm not ready to throw him out. I'm not ready to just say fire him and move on from him, because the Woody Johnson, he's invested into Aaron Glenn financially. I find it hard to believe that the Jets are going to move on from him. I really do not think he's going to be a one and done. And if he is, I would put my right hand up and say, you know what? That's what happened. I was wrong. And that's an absolute devastating situation if that does happen. Now, let's be honest here. If the Jets go from, Robert Saleh to Aaron Glenn and then we just fire him after one season, that's not a good thing, because you bring in a new coach next year with the top pick. And now, yeah, I understand the Jets are maybe going after an offensive head coach to pair with a young quarterback. That could be the philosophy here. But if you thought Aaron Glenn was going to come in here in year one and just turn us into an absolute, really good football team, I don't know. I wasn't expecting that. I guess that's another reason why I'm not on that train yet. To fire him is I had low expectations this year. I really did. I mean, going into the season, you're obviously hopeful. Okay, maybe this can work out. Maybe that could work out. But this is the lay the foundation year. And honestly, the only thing that's going to solve Jets fans to maybe buy into Aaron Glenn, it's one thing and one thing only, and that's winning football games. And that's the reality of it, man. Aaron Glenn's got to coach this team up and go win some games. Because if they go 0-17, if they go 1-16, then we're going to have that conversation. But I don't know if the Jets are going to go 0-17. I don't know if they're going to go 1-16. Because I look at what they did against the Denver Broncos, and there was literally just they fixed all their issues that they've had the first 5 weeks, and then they created a new issue. And that's the sad part about that game against the Broncos, because there was progress from Aaron Glenn that we're not even allowed to look at because of all the incompetencies that came to the surface. In that game, there's 3 reasons why the Jets are 0-5 heading into Denver in London against the Broncos. Penalties, turning the ball over, not forcing turnovers, and the defense. Those are all major issues why the Jets were 0-5 entering that game. And all of those issues got solved in one game. We only had 2 penalties. We forced the turnover, won the turnover battle, and the defense balled out. Those 3 things got fixed in a game. And that's on the coaching staff to fix those issues. But the problem now is there's a new issue that came. And that's Justin Fields, and that offense has took a major step back. So that's why I'm a Jets fan that looks at it from this lens. He's figuring out ways to fix issues on the fly, Aaron Glenn and his coaching staff, and I'm going to give him his time and give him his space to figure this out, because this is the NFL. It's unfortunate that the New York Jets have been so bad for so freaking long, and there should be frustration. There should be anger. I have it all too. As you guys can see, I'm very expressive, but I'm not going to be out here and just not going to give Aaron Glenn even a chance to learn from his mistakes, not even giving him an opportunity to build this team with his vision, because he has his own vision with this football team. He does, and we're not going to be able to see it until he gets a draft class or 2 underneath his belt. He has 1 draft class, which, by the way, I actually think is doing pretty good. Armand Membu is playing really good football at right tackle. Mason Taylor, he unfortunately does not get a lot of looks in the passing game, but when he does, he makes plays. He looks like a reliable guy. Arian Smith, the Jets rookie wide receiver, he's going to get a big opportunity now at Garrett Wilson's sideline, so let's see what he looks like. But Kiko Mauogwa, all right? I always say his last name wrong, but this is a guy that absolutely is stepping in for Quincy Williams and making some plays. Azareye'h Thomas, in a very small sample size, I like his upside. Malachi Moore making some plays. And the reason why I'm bringing up the rookies here is because that is the type of players the Jets are trying to build with this foundation for the long haul. And yeah, he's not even close to perfect Aaron Glenn. There's so many flaws to him as a head coach. But I do feel like there are some reasons to not believe. And I also want to say this as another reason. Instability hurts development, man. Because if we go in another coaching change mid-season, there needs to be continuity in order for anything to thrive, in my opinion. Yes, of course, there's first-time head coaches going to other teams and turning it around. But this is a guy in Aaron Glenn that, in my opinion, you got to give him, a year 2 in the system. Let me remind everybody that always says Robert Saleh's defense was at least good. How come Aaron Glenn's defense is not good? Robert Saleh's defense stunk in his first year. It was bottom of the league. And then the Jets that year, remember, the offseason, they added Sauce Gardner, they added talent on the defense, and then all of a sudden, Robert Saleh's and Jeff Ulbricht's defense went from 29th ranked to top 5 in a year. Now, I'm not going to say that's guaranteed with Aaron Glenn and Steve Wilks, but getting another year of adding talent to a defense and another year of coaching up this defense, year 2 in the same system, continuity absolutely matters. And if you're just ready to hit the reset button every single year after incompetencies, I don't know what else to tell you, because the Jets are not going to be able to thrive under those circumstances, in my opinion. That's how I look at it. I really do genuinely believe that if you are just looking at this team and you just want to hit the reset button every time there's failure, there'll never be an opportunity for this team to figure it out. Because if you're just so reactionary and ready to pull the rug before there's any type of progress, you're not giving them that opportunity. Adversity is an opportunity to find growth. And Aaron Glenn said that when he became the Jets head coach. We're the New York Jets. We're built for this. Now, we have not seen that yet, but all it takes is one, bro. It takes one of those games that they taste victory and there could be a breakthrough. There absolutely could be a breakthrough. And the one thing about Aaron Glenn that I respect is he does hold himself accountable, and his leadership is something that I actually like. He openly admits his mistakes. In the press conference, he'll say one thing, and then he watches the tape. The next day, he'll maybe say, you know what? I got to be better than that. Because the way he operated at the end of that first half against Denver was absolutely terrible. I hated everything about it. He held himself accountable. That's a learning experience for Aaron Glenn. And I think that's the thing, I guess I have a different perspective on things than others is I look at these mistakes that he's making as a head coach, just like the quarterbacks in the league, any position, any player, coaching staff. You take these mistakes as learning experiences. As long as you don't repeat the same mistakes over and over again, that's when we have some issues. If we have another opportunity where Aaron Glenn looks like that bad in terms of managing a situation at the end of a half, then we have some big problems here. But I'm going to give him an opportunity to learn from these mistakes in 6 games. So I feel like he defends his players publicly. He of course holds his players accountable. At the same time, he is very publicly backing of his quarterback, Justin Fields. And I think that also, pisses some people off. But like, what do you want him to do? Just rip into him? What he said about Justin Fields is 100% accurate. He looked at the tape and he said Justin Fields had a bad game. But that does not mean he's just going to pull the plug and bench him because of one bad game. And listen, I understand people want Tyrod out there, but like, I'm not going to go to the bench Fields case yet unless he goes back out there against Carolina and he completely sells and looks absolutely trash. Then we'll be talking about that. He's had 2 bad games this year. The Bills game was just like he got knocked out in the third quarter. But that game against the Broncos was so bad for Justin Fields, so bad. And then the last thing I want to say when it comes to Aaron Glenn, and I know this is very, it's not guaranteed, so it's hard to bring this example up, but you look at what the Detroit Lions were when Aaron Glenn was hired there to be the defensive coordinator with first-time head coach Dan Campbell. They started 0-10-1 in their first 11 games. It took them to week 12 to get their first win. And there's no guarantee that the Detroit Lions story is going to be replicated here, but I'm at least going to cling on to that because the Detroit Lions are a perfect example of an organization that has been absolutely trash for decades. And it took just continuity and belief and trust in a team to figure themselves out before they were able to break through. They get a win at the end of that season. They win the last, at the end of the year in their first season, they won some games. They eventually won 3 games, I think, that season. And then they started off the season in year 2, 1-7. 1-7 the Lions were in year 2. But do you know what happened? The ownership of the Detroit Lions, after all the media was clowning Dan Campbell, they felt like he should be fired. He's won 4 games in a season and a half. His record was 4-17-1. And what happened was the Detroit Lions ownership privately and publicly backed Dan Campbell, Aaron Glenn, and Ben Johnson and the entire coaching staff. And when they did that, and when Dan Campbell felt the stress off his shoulders of my job is on the line, and he felt publicly and privately backed by his owner, That's when everything broke through. Then all of a sudden, the Lions go on a winning streak. They win like 8 of the last 10 games. They finish off the season 9-8. And then year 3 is when everything broke free and the Detroit Lions are as great as they are right now. Now, the Lions story, again, is not guaranteed that it's going to happen with the Jets. But that is just an example. And the reason why it's an important example is because Aaron Glenn lived it. He was part of the story here. He was also part of the story when he was a player with the Jets, when they won one game and Bill Parcells came and it took him a bit to turn it around. And Bill Parcells has even talked to him. Bill Parcells had some bad years. There's a lot of coaches that had some tough starts. Kyle Shanahan started winless. So all these things I'm saying does not guarantee that Aaron Glenn's going to break free. But that's why I'm not just ready to just throw it all in the garbage right now. That's how I look at it. So you guys let me know in the comments if you agree or if you disagree. Hit the like button if you enjoyed this video. I really, really do appreciate you guys, as always, tuning in to Jets Media. Want to give a big shout out to Sleeper, the proud sponsor of Jets Media all season long. If you guys want to use my code JETS, you guys will get a 100% match up to $100 on your Sleeper app. Using the code JETS will do just that. You guys get $20 for free when you use my code JETS. That is $20 immediately when you log into the app and you make an account with my code. And then when you want to put some money in, they will match it up to $100. So basically, you put $20 in, they'll give you $20 for free. And on top of that, you get another additional $20 for free. So that's free money you get to play. Please bet responsibly. You guys can pick a lot of awesome parlays, over-unders, win up to 100x your money. So a big shout out to Sleeper for sponsoring Jets Media all season long.